Zix here, ready for episode 2, where I promised I would show my main Iron Golem Farm and also how to build it. So, for that, however, let's go ahead and open up these guys. Whoops. I need to get rid of that first. Okay, 8 basics, 5 blades, emerald, ants key, dab, and portal, hopper, money, and a legendary, advanced, ooh, tier 3 is nice, legendary, storage. Much junk, as usual. Minion, some bosses. Have to fight these bosses soon. This money. Maybe I should donate this money somewhere instead. Some sort of this drop-in spawn or something. Anyway, last episode I showed a sneak peek of my farm, my main golem farm. So today I'll show more of that and also how to build it. So it's a very basic setup. Pushes the spawns into the center. Spawns fall in lava and they get pushed into 4 corners. From those 4 corners they come down here, and most of them, of the drops, get picked up. However, when you get too many, like I have, you get overflow, and you need to deal with that overflow somehow. So we have iron dropping down these 4 holes into what we call a hopper loop. So it's actually very simple to build. It's not really worth building until you have maybe a couple thousand. I guess it doesn't hurt to have one started, but it's a high efficiency setup, so you want to make sure you have a few. I mean, you don't need this many before starting, but it doesn't make sense to do it with just a couple of hundred. But either way, let's build this thing. First things first, you need to be within 1 chunk. I cannot express how important this is. If you are in multiple chunks, you are going to lose a lot of efficiency. So keep that in mind. You do not know how to see a chunk. There's a couple ways of doing it. F3 plus G on a PC. Function F3 plus G on Macintosh. If you are not running Minecraft 1.10, 1.10 or higher, you're going to have to do alternative methods because F3 plus G is not in older versions. Like a lot of people are running 1.8.9 simply because of an older version of Schematica, which, I mean, you can update. I have Schematica for 1.12, so update and you won't have that problem. But there are ways to do that as well. You have to, I'm not going to show it because it's a pain in the butt, but basically you grow carrots. You you plant a bunch of farms and you grow carrots. And you stand in the middle, or you stand in a random spot, and you'll see where the chunks are, because there will be a nice perfect straight line of carrots growing, and on the other side none of the carrots will have grown, and that will show you a chunk line. And then just mark it with cobble, and then keep going until you figure out the next chunk. Anyway, so for starters here with this base, they're going to see down the center there is all within one chunk. We don't want them touching along the outside of this chunk. We want max water. So let's see here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that's right. Sure. If you do not have fast pace, this could take a little bit longer. But I have it, so we're going to use it. I do have this thing, schematica, so I could just do that, but then kind of takes away a lot of the learning part of it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I started with this design. About halfway through the last round, and modified it quite a lot, but this base part hasn't changed much. This part works pretty well. Pushes any spawns outside of the main chunk in quite nicely. Oops. Maybe I was going to do that. Handles quite a large farm. So they're thinking placing at the same time. Handles quite a large farm. You could put about 300,000 spawners in this setup if you wanted to. Obviously, you'd reach a point where you're getting too much overflow. And therefore losing a lot of efficiency and adding unnecessary lag. But I guess if you wanted to be crazy, you could. More power to you, I guess. Once you get going, once you get about 30,000, it becomes pretty quickly to get big. Let's see where we at. You may be seeing these stacked next to each other, and you might be saying to yourself, I'm losing efficiency because of that. But that's actually not the case. I've done some pretty extensive testing with spawn rates, just putting them not next to each other, putting them next to each other, and it turns out there is no difference. The old theory, or at least a theory, is that if you have a spawner, in the spawning radius of another spawner, it takes away a potential place to spawn. It turns out that is not the case. And once you get to so many, it gets to a point where you run out of space anyway. And so you're going to have to do alternative methods anyway. And that's what this is for. Okay, so once we have this, oops, we can start building the rest. Okay, finish it. Yeah, maybe I did it right, maybe I didn't. Sometimes I miscount. That looks right. That looks right. Turn off fast place. Let's do this. No, I messed up. still have not fixed signs. I see. Where did I mess up? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I messed up right here. This is not big enough. That's okay. So I think it only signs only don't work if you're not on your island. Like if you're co-opt or you're a member on somebody else's island. I think if you're the island owner, the signs still work. I don't have an island of my own. I am a member. Oops. So they're not working for me. I guess until they fix it, I would assumed it would have been fixed. So with that major update. There we go. That's right. Oh, now it let me type. And now they're working. Maybe they were working and I wasn't paying attention. I do that a lot. I'll mess up here too. Looks like I did something. It doesn't technically have to be perfect. You could just stop the water with signs, but I can't stand it when it's not symmetrical. At least as symmetrical as you can be. We're dealing with even numbers because we're based on a chunk. That single column prefers an odd number to be directly in the center, but it's not the end of the world. Good old Minecraft music hasn't changed. Don't want it to. It's so peaceful. I could probably sleep to it if I wasn't already dreaming it. So normally, mobs would not like these signs. However, your iron golems just so happen to be too wide, or it doesn't matter. See, perfect. I'm going to pause it while I place the rest of this. And we're back. There you go. They fall nicely and neatly into one chunk. Now the kill zone. First place is off. Lava, signs, water, floor. I've built this design by hand. I'm using this schematic probably 50 times, or not, if not more. Not only for myself, testing new setups, but a couple times because I forgot to check the chunks and had to build it again, which is always fun. Or for other people on my island that needed help. And past people, past members of previous islands as well. We are out of cobble. Okay, there's your kill zone. So we're going to leave a 2 wide spot on either side, and that's going to be a little channel. For my friends. Just put fast splits back on and use it. Did I not do it right? wish they had a way to autofill your food bar without having to buy steak in the shop. It's kind of a pain in the butt and unnecessary. Okay, anyway. Now we want signs here. By the way, if you hold shift and spacebar at the same time, assuming you have fly enabled, that's a lot easier to place these. I've noticed a lot of people don't know that trick. It's quite helpful. Once you build one of these, it's a good idea to save it in Schematica so that you do not have to keep rebuilding it. Because placing the signs can be a pain in the butt. Let me show you. Here it is. Here's the setup. Of course, we're not doing that right now. We're actually building it. If you do not know how to use Schematica, I advise that you learn. I don't think I'm going to do a tutorial on that. I'm not very good with mods. First, I need to find the center of the floor. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so they're going to fall here, and they're going to be pushed to both sides. And we're going to do this. And we're going to do this. Blue. Way more signs. We're going to put a sign here and a sign here. And I'll tell you why. Because we don't want the water that's going right here to fall down there. So now they're going to spawn here, come down here, any drops are going to go down there. And we're going to build the same thing over here. Boy, that water is so. I need to turn that down or off. That is obnoxious. Nope. Nope. Okay, that's better. Okay. Then, oh my gosh, inventory. Now we need to place signs all the way across above this water to keep the water from turning into obsidian and or stone. That I will do off camera. Okay, here you have it. These signs protect the lava or the water from Mr. Lava. The thing about placing lava on signs, you have to have something up against it, otherwise it won't work. You can't, like see, I can't Can't place it here. It's kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. You just gotta get your hands in it. You just gotta get a little dirty. You gotta get into there. And here's how you do that. This isn't. See what we have. This looks like a good spot. Go all the way across. Get down here and stay flying. Across. And voila! It fills in. If we can do this in one. Some people would prefer this would be a solid layer of lava. As picky as I am about certain things, I'm not picky about that because it's kind of a pain in the butt to do. You have to cover the whole area in cobble and then fly in and out and destroy blocks to get it right. It's not the fun. I'll fill in. Oh. Alright. Clean this up. That would bother me though. Okay. Up we go. Now you can spawn 16 blocks away from your person. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. However, and 2 to stand. However, that is measured from your feet, or the block you are standing on. So if you go 16 up here, you will have a couple of spots not be spawned. So we're only going to go 14. And that is that column there. Really close inventory. Okay. Now, in order to create the sphere, we need to come down 3. 1, 2, 3. Come out 3. Want 3 spaces in between to make sure for maximum spawning efficiency. Any less, you will lose spawns. Any more, I guess you could add more of a space if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. If you do come out farther this way, though, you have to start breaking this layer down, or else you will end up getting to a spot where they're not being loaded. Because think of it as a 16 wide sphere from where you're standing. Now this was more relevant back in the day when there weren't stacking on the server, and therefore you could only have like a maximum of like 8,000 maybe. So space optimization was a little bit more important. If you're wondering what I'm doing here, if you do not do this, whoops, I didn't want to do that. If you do not do this, you will get spawns on top of these slabs from these 2 guys here. That only takes 2 to stop that. I might get another layer, but if you see them up there, just some. I'm gonna pause while I fix this. And we're back. That was fun. So you want to be careful so that doesn't happen. Okay, bottom. Okay, I do not have spare hoppers, so I'm not going to do this. Again, also this is for 250 limit. Most people are not going to have 250 available. They're going to have 100. You can still do this outer layer with 100, but most of this wouldn't be here. I'll show you how to build this part, but basically all you're going to do is connect every single hopper to one void. No, it's nice. It's always nice. Yeah, basically it's just going to go around. See if there's. Yeah, I don't see any hop floating around right now, but it wouldn't take long to get there. Okay, so now let's do a little bit of cleanup here. The heck, when did I do this? Must have been going crazy with that fast place. To use glass. Don't have to use glass. I just like to be able to see better. And I made that fairly compact, and I kind of regret it now, because it's kind of a pain in the butt to get in here to fix stuff. So this time I'm going to bring it down a little farther. I'm also not going to show you that entire, because it's pretty repetitive once you get to a point. Okay, now again, we have to pay attention to chunk lines. If you place any hoppers, or assuming you're using tier hoppers, outside of this chunk line, they're not going to be used. Period. So what I like to do before I even get started is outline the edge, like so. Not like that. I'm going to use packed ice and signs now. Another important note when you're doing this, you can't have water. Well, I'll show you as we get closer. Let's see. Do that. I'm just going to use dirt in place of hoppers. You do your own hoppers later. Here's our path. We want the water to loop around the curve. If you start the water, say, here, when the loop comes this way, it's not going to make it around the corner for whatever reason. Not really sure why, but you have to have the water looping around or else it will get trapped. So basically you just keep going until the water stops. Not place more water. Packed ice. Doesn't matter what side you put the sign on. See, here's an example. 8 goes right at the edge. You don't want to do that. So we would cut this one short. simply will not work. So to fix that, go back 1, 2. Wish I had a shovel. Place of fresh water so it loops around. And that, my friends, is enough. With that, you should be able to get going. So you have something that looks more along the lines of this. As you can see, it drops down here within the chunk. You can see the blue chunk line there. You go through here, and wrap around on top of hoppers. You technically do not have to have these hoppers connecting to this void, but if you don't, so like these 500 villager spawners here, I probably would have never seen those again. Because if you do not connect them all to a chest, it's going to be painful to have to click randomly to find where they ended up. Oh, and you're going to stand right here. And it helps if you set up over here. And it's kind of a pain in the butt to fly into this too tall spot. And that's how we do this. See, I went up a little bit higher. Sure matters. Get that off. And let's take a look at my main money maker. This is where the magic happens. It's a little choppy here because this is. This is 115,500. Well, actually, it's 11,600. 116,000 now because I just had those two there. Anyway, that is it. Thank you for watching. Yeah, look at that nightmare down there. Thank you for watching. I will show a tutorial on this as well, if not the next episode before too long. Take care. Take it easy.